In our final therapy session, my husband looked at the counselor and calmly stated the one thing he thought would destroy me, that his mother was right, and he should have married her favorite instead of me. What he didn't know was that I had already decided not to fight for him, but to investigate the woman he claimed was perfect. I didn't cry. I didn't argue. I simply agreed. I told him, and the therapist, that perhaps they all saw something I didn't. Maybe I should try to learn from her. The relief on his face was instantaneous. In that moment, my mission crystallized. This wasn't about winning back a man's affection. It was about uncovering the truth behind the pedestal they'd built for Amanda. My mother-in-law, Evelyn, owned a flourishing event planning company. She'd built it from scratch. To her, I was a background character acquiring an accountant by trade, useful only for numbers, not for style or social graces. Amanda, however, was her shining star. Amanda had the right connections, the flawless taste, the magnetic charm. Soon after my husband's friend married her, Evelyn brought Amanda into the business as a premium consultant. When Evelyn offhandedly asked if I'd handled the tedious paperwork and invoices, I accepted immediately. This wasn't submission, it was infiltration. She was handing me the keys to the kingdom's financial records, and I was the only one who would know what to look for. Within weeks, a pattern emerged. Benda's Amanda championed, charged inexplicable premiums. A floral supplier billed $15,000 for arrangements a standard company would do for $6,000. The company was registered to a name I recognized, a relative of Amanda's husband. This wasn't a coincidence. It was a scheme. By the 8th month, I was certain. By the 14th, I had documented over $50,000 in fraudulent overcharges, and I said nothing. I filed every invoice. I attended every family dinner where Evelyn praised Amanda's genius. I listened to my husband muse about how Amanda's sophistication elevated everything she touched. Why wait? Because $50,000 was a scandal she could explain away. I needed the betrayal to be so vast, so deeply woven into the fabric of Evelyn's life and business, that pulling the thread would unravel everything. Patience isn't about waiting. It's about strategic timing. The years unfolded. Amanda's influence grew. She proposed a massive expansion, a second venue. Evelyn took out a substantial loan, guided by Amanda's expert contacts. Every contractor, every designer, every supplier Amanda recommended carried a hidden tax. I tracked it all. The loan payments became a weight. Evelyn started cutting corners, looking strained, all while thanking Amanda for her visionary guidance. My marriage became a quiet, logistical partnership. We stopped therapy. He thought I'd accepted my place. In reality, I was assembling a dossier of over $400,000 in theft. The woman they adored was bleeding the business dry, and they were applauding her for it. The pressure built for Evelyn. The business was nearing a breaking point. Her longtime operations manager, Claudia, voiced suspicions about the vendor costs, but Evelyn dismissed her. Amanda's taste was worth the premium. Claudia looked to me, the silent bookkeeper. I offered a non-committal smile. The time wasn't right. Not yet. I needed a moment of maximum impact, where every player would be in the room, and the evidence would be undeniable. That moment was the annual holiday gala at Evelyn's home. The guest list was perfect. Family, close friends, Amanda, and Claudia. For 7 years, I had been the ghost in the ledgers. That night, I became the reckoning. As dessert was served on overpriced cake from yet another shell company, I placed a simple binder beside Evelyn's plate. "What's this?" she asked, distracted. 7 years of financial documentation, I said, my voice clear in the sudden quiet. It details every vendor Amanda recommended, every inflated invoice, and the shell companies owned by her husband's family. The total is just over $430,000. The color drained from Amanda's face. "This is lies. You're jealous." I remained calm. "The business registrations are public record. The payment trails are in your own bank statements. The price comparisons are from legitimate market averages." I turned to Claudia. "You've suspected the numbers for years. Here's why." Evelyn flipped through the summary, her hands trembling. My husband stared at me as if seeing a stranger. "You knew? For years." I documented. I corrected. From the first irregular invoice, I waited because I needed the scope to be undeniable. I needed her to be so entrenched that this, I gestured to the binder, would be a catastrophe, not a conversation. Chaos erupted. Amanda fled. Claudia called the authorities. Evelyn wept, confronted by the sheer scale of the deception built on her trust. My husband was shattered, finally understanding that his praise had been lavished on a criminal, while the woman he'd underestimated had been the guardian. I wasn't collecting slights. I was building a case. In the aftermath, the police confirmed everything. Charges were filed. A civil suit began, and I filed for divorce. The man who wished he'd married someone else was now realizing exactly what he hadn't lost. I thought my work was done. Then, at 2 a.m, my phone rang. It was Amanda, her voice raw with panic. "Please," she sobbed. "You have to listen." What Marcus was doing. It wasn't just the kickbacks. There's more, and now dangerous people are involved. They know about your evidence. If you ever wanted to truly protect Evelyn's company, you need to know this. I hung up. Then I looked at my encrypted files. 7 years of precision had exposed a thief, but it may have inadvertently uncovered something far darker. The patterns I'd tracked, were they just about greed, or was I missing a deeper layer? I agreed to meet her, not for forgiveness, but for the truth. Because sometimes, the revenge you plan is just the first chapter. If you followed every twit, let me know what would you have done when that 2 a.m. call came. Drop ALIKE for more stories of calculated justice here on Eternal Revenge, and subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter.